Welcome to Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show, and we're having some fun again with history, lake area history, and our good friend, historian Bill Moudler is with us. So Bill, there's so much to talk about when we talk about history at the lake. A lot of people want to start off talking about the people who were here,
yes.
right? And started off with Indians. You hear about the Osage Indians, right?
Correct.
But and they were the main group of people here.
They were. They had the biggest impact on the area.
Okay. They don't like to be called Osage Indians.
No, they prefer, their name is Washisha.
Huh. Okay.
People of the Middle Waters sometimes they're
Oh, is that what
called.
that means?
Yes.
Okay.
And they have quite the creation story. It's in a future segment, we might even be able to delve into that a little bit because they really lived in this area. I've got some funny stories about their interaction with some white European explorers that went upstream.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dangle that one out there. This was a very famous explorer that went west on a river.
Huh.
But it's not Lewis and Clark.
Who could that? Not Lewis and
It's
Clark?
not Lewis and Clark.
Who could that have been?
We'll get to him.
Okay.
We're going to leave that one dangled.
That's what we call a teaser in the business. Okay. So and so how long were the Washita, is that right? Washisha Indians here, and when did they start getting pushed out?
They started being pushed out in the 1800s.
Okay.
When you look at Missouri history, you know that we've been under several flags. French, Spanish, back to French, then the United States flag. The first interaction that the Washisha had with Europeans were the French trappers, the Coureur de Bois, runner in the woods, that come down out of Canada via the Mississippi River up the Missouri and up the Osage. They were seeking pelts. Beaver was the gold standard. And they found out that the Osage River had one heck of a lot of beaver in it.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing they found out was that there was already people here. And the Osage, being a people that understood that there's wealth, started making deals. And they made deals and helped trap and did trade goods and even some cash with the French trappers.
Huh.
Following that, the Spanish come in the area. The Spanish did not understand the Washisha at all. As a matter of fact, they didn't care for them.
Really?
And the French had actually given the Washisha guns. The Spanish said, an Indian with a gun is just a bad idea. We don't like that. So there was a lot of push to try to move them off. Well, the Spanish didn't have enough ability to do that. And they were coming up from the south. It goes back to Coronada's time even. Then we go back to the Spanish sold land back to France. France only had it for a very short time, like a year or two, and then sold it to the United States, the Louisiana Purchase.
Right. Yep.
That threw in a whole different thing. That opened up St. Louis as a city even more, and people coming upstream into the Osage and doing open trading with the Osage. Now, Lewis and Clark do figure into this story.
Yeah.
Especially William Clark. He was a territorial governor of Missouri after the trip, and he liked the Osage, and he did a lot of work with them, and they had very open dealings. And there was even some of the Osage went all the way to Washington, D.C. to speak to the president about some things. But the Osage themselves understood what they had. They lived in the Garden of Eden. And if you look at what we have here still today, as far as flora and fauna, we still live in a Garden of Eden.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
There is no way you can go hungry in the Ozarks. Right. It's impossible. Now, some things that people may eat, and my wife concludes me among one of those weirdos that
You'll
will
eat anything, right?
I have ate, if you don't know what chapelinas are, folks, it's grasshoppers.
Ew.
And I like grasshopper tostados. They're delicious.
Ew.
They're flavored, but that makes a difference. But we live in an era that we take a different viewpoint of food.
Right.
The Washisha knew that they had to survive. They knew that they had to figure out what to eat so they wouldn't die. Well, they had a ton of things right here in this area, and we don't understand it. We forget it sometimes. There were bison right here in Camden County.
Really?
And we have proof of that. Out by Montreal, there's a little town or a little church out there. It's called Buffalo Prairie Church. In the Buffalo Prairie Church area, there are still buffalo wallers, buffalo mounds out there in a couple of fields.
Yeah.
You can find that up at Versailles in the Missouri Department of Conservation's High Prairie. It's a very well-preserved prairie with the native grasses, and there's buffalo mounds out there.
Wow.
We had elk in this area.
Yeah.
Elk were all through this. And by the way, elk weren't just a forest animals we think of today. They were actually a prairie-loving animal.
Huh.
They like grass more than they like trying to forage the stuff back in the woods. And if you think of a elk as a big cow with a huge set of antlers, it'll help you kind of understand where they go more. Same way with our deer. We have a ton of deer here.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have, for a time, a lot more animals that disappeared, and now they're back. That being the black bear. Those black bear have decided to come home. We had again, the bison, the elk, we had otters that they would use for skins. And even if they skinned the otter, they wouldn't necessarily use it just for the skin. By golly, that was food.
That was delicious.
It was good.
Yeah.
One of my favorite meats, raccoon.
Really?
Raccoon is delicious, along with muskrat.
Does it taste like chicken?
It tastes like chicken.
Huh. How about that?
Barbecue chicken, because I like to do mine barbecue.
Wow. So, I mean, and you've tried all this.
Yes.
So you know that it is good.
Yes. It's a thought process that we have to change in our own mind.
Yeah.
Acorns are edible. Tons of mushrooms.
Yeah.
Now, if you're such a country boy like me, you know that morel mushroom season's coming up pretty darn quick. And you pair that with some of the fish that swim in our waters here, like walleye.
Oh, man, we're talking a feast here, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Can't get full on fancy. Remember that term.
Man, so we're talking with Bill Moudler, local lake historian, and having so much fun here on the Community Spotlight Show. And we'll have more right after this.
Your car wants to look its best. The paint, the trim, the wheels, the tires, they want to show off in all of their sparkling glory. Let your car shine with the Quick Car Monthly Unlimited Wash Club. For one low price, you can let your car strut its stuff anytime you want. Your car will thank you. Welcome to the club. Quick Car. Quick, easy, and professional every time. In Jefferson City and Osage Beach.
Your time on the water is limited, and Hy-Vee in Osage Beach knows it. Let us do the shopping so you can maximize your lake time. With our Aisles online app, you can have your groceries delivered or ready for contactless pickup when you arrive to the lake. With all your grilling favorites, snacks, fresh produce, and home to the lake's largest wine, spirits, and beer department, your weekend at the lake starts with Hy-Vee in Osage Beach, where you'll find a helpful smile in every aisle.
Discovered over a century and a half ago, Bridal Cave continues to amaze those who venture through it. As you tour through Bridal Cave, you'll see massive onyx formations, giant columns, and the one and only Mystery Lake. Bridal Cave's unique stalactite-adorned bridal chapel has provided a truly unique backdrop for over 3,000 couples from around the world. Bridal Cave is open daily, rain or shine. Guided tours leave every few minutes. Come explore the lake's favorite natural attraction. Explore Bridal Cave today.
And welcome back to Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show. We're talking some lake area history, just having a great time with Bill Moudler. Bill, so we were talking about food, and we've kind of become, soft when it comes to food, right? If you can't go get it in the grocery store, you don't think about it. But there's a lot of natural foods around here that were plentiful when the Indians were here and after.
I mean, there's nothing that can sustain you in the grocery aisle as much as wild foods will do it. There's actually more nutrients in our wild foods and a lot less chemicals.
I'm sure.
And that's what the Washisha understood. That's even what the first European settlers understood. Now, when the Coeur de Bois come down to trap in the Osage, they didn't run to 7-Eleven to get a coffee.
Right.
Or they didn't run there to get a breakfast donut. They found something there, and they understood as well. They were pretty close to the Native Americans as far as their thinking and how to eat.
And if you know what you're doing, you could probably still eat pretty well off of just what
quite easy
lives or grows around.
Right. There is really nothing. Now, one thing I've not tried, I do like rattlesnake. It's yummy. Okay. I have not got my courage up to try copperhead. I've had a guy tell me, he said, now it's pretty tasty, but it's not worth the effort to skin it.
Yeah.
They're not the biggest snake in the world.
Taking your life in your hands. I actually have tasted rattlesnake, and I don't think it was all that good, actually, but Just to say, there's one thing I've had that you haven't apparently. That's shocking because I haven't had raccoon like you've had, and you've had otter, right?
No, I have not.
No otter yet. Okay. There's a few at my neighbor's dock. Maybe we can.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Hey, then we'll have to try that. Okay. So the dam changed everything.
The dam did change a lot of things, and not just the dam, but it's the way that we started viewing our environment. Okay. The European settler had a whole different idea of it. The American Indian, or the Washizu, said, we have to sustain this. If we hunt out every one of the bison, or if we hunt out all the otter or whatever, we're going to starve. There will be nothing to eat.
Just smart, right?
And they learned that from doing it.
Yeah.
They messed up a few times, but they roamed far. They would go out into the Kansas prairie to hunt the bison because of the bigger herds out there. Then they would come back in this area, and they had the fish, of course. They had the otter, they had the raccoon, the beaver, all kinds of protein that they could take advantage of, especially white-tailed deer. So this is where they would retreat. This was a warmer area during the winter too, because you have the protection of the hollers and these hillsides. And when you looked at where they lived, they understood solar power really well. They know where to put their villages.
Yeah.
Most of the villages were on a slope or on an area that was facing the south. So you get more daylight and a little bit warmer sun. So they really understood it. The white European settlers, and I keep saying that, but that's the only way I can really describe them, did it first, and then they started getting away from that because they started building strong homes. And they would heat it with wood. Well, that declined our forest in the area. That declined a lot of different things. And they started depleting the land because one of the things, and we'll talk about this further when we talk about how folks made a living just before the dam, was tie hacking and tie making.
Yeah.
That was really tough on the area. That really took a lot of our timber resources out. And then you take a lot of resources out when you impound a river like the Osage.
Yeah.
If you drive down toward Tuscumbia or anywhere below Bagnell Dam and you look at the environment there versus the environment above the dam, it's just striking. Because below the dam you have these beautiful green verdant fields that you can grow crops in.
Yeah.
Your timber's a little bit different below the dam or above Truman than you have here in the impoundment area. So it did change the dynamic of our environment greatly. Now, am I saying it's a horrible, bad thing? No, it's what it is.
Yeah.
We have, one thing it did improve was the fishery. We have more fish because there's more bodies of water for those fish and a bigger body of water for them to occupy.
Yeah.
What it did do is it did cause some issues at first with the spoonbill and the sturgeon because they could not come up the Missouri River to the Osage and then up the Osage. The dam blocked them.
Yeah.
And by the way, we weren't the first dam. There was a dam below us down near Jefferson City, was called Lock and Dam Number 1. And it was to be able to let riverboats come up the Osage and lock through and come on up further. Well, this Osage has always been, up until the invent of the dam, that was a highway of commerce, a highway of transportation.
Right.
And now it's changed tremendously. And when we talk about the towns, I'll share some pictures of some of the older towns where you actually see a riverboat parked in there.
I can't wait to get there. I mean, just really looking forward to it because, and like you said, I mean, the dam coming in, the lake coming in changed everything. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse.
Exactly.
Whole towns had to move. We'll talk about that. I mean, a huge change for a town like Lynn Creek.
Oh, yes.
Which
Yes.
was just stunning. So we've got 30 seconds left. So was it a good thing for the area for the dam to come in overall or not so good?
Environmentally, not so good.
Yeah.
Economically, phenomenal.
Yeah. Again, the good and the bad
The
of
good
it.
and the bad.
Right.
And now we have, as you were just talking a minute ago, you have otters at your dock.
Yeah.
We have black bears in the county again. So, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Circle kind of back.
It
Absolutely.
does.
Don't you just love lake area history? I mean, I love lake area history. And this guy knows all about it. It's Bill Moudler. Hey, thank you for taking the time to come down and join us.
It's been my pleasure.
All right. And we will do more of these history shows with Bill right here on Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show.